Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Ghost of Tsushima, and today I want to talk about a few things that you guys might want to know before getting started in the game, or if you have just started, then these are things that will be useful to you as you're playing throughout. Now for the most part this video is completely safe. I will however give you a light spoiler warning, maybe the gear that I'm wearing you might not want to see, or perhaps just me showing you some of the things in the skill trees you also might not want to see. So if you don't want to see that, you just want to go in completely blind, then by all means step away. But if you're just looking for a few handy things that you can consider whilst playing throughout the game to make your life easier and just take some of the worry off when it comes to working out all the different things you should do, then hopefully this helps you. Again, if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to turn on notifications and stick around because we have got so many Tsushima videos coming your way, so yeah, you definitely don't want to miss them. But to begin with, let's start at the top with uncovering the map. Quite early in the game, you'll encounter your very first armor set after the initial one that you get after the kind of broken Sakai armor set, and that is the Traveler's Attire. And when it comes to exploring the world, I would highly recommend wearing this, not necessarily for all of the time, because sometimes you want to switch to other things in battle, but anytime you're doing open world exploration, I would highly encourage you putting on the Traveler's Attire. It might not look as exciting as some of the other armor, it might look a little bit kind of understated, but the nice thing about this armor is that not only do you have the ability to track certain artifacts with the guiding wind, which is incredibly useful. That means if you're looking for collectibles, other things like that, you can track them. It also clears more of the map's fog of war when you're exploring. Now I have the fully upgraded version here, so it clears 30%. I believe it starts at around 15-20%, but basically wearing this will reveal more of the map as you are just walking around. And of course, as you get to areas and you reveal the map, you then start to see question marks for locations that you might want to investigate. Furthermore, when you are looking for collectibles, initially wearing this armor set will make your controller vibrate when you are within, I think it's 30 meters of any kind of collectible items, and then when you upgrade it, it can go up to 60. So again, if you happen to walk into a camp and your controller starts vibrating, you will know there is something worth finding in there. After that, another thing worth noting on the kind of exploration front, but whenever you kind of explore the map, you will find different hubs. These are sort of like miniature towns, if you will, small villages, and then these become fast travel points. You can return to these throughout the game. They will typically have different vendors there, people to improve your gear, improve your bow, sell you items, that kind of thing. And I would highly recommend returning to these at regular intervals throughout the game, because as you complete quests, as you meet civilians, as you rescue people, often they will go back to these towns to kind of, take refuge. And sometimes when you return to them, they will have speech bubbles above them. And sometimes they're just there to say, thank you for your help. But a lot of the time, those speech bubbles will then lead to revealing the location of a new side quest. Sometimes they're just regular side quests, and sometimes they are the exciting mythic quests which lead to the cool mythic arts, some of the cool special moves you can do, some of the cool armor sets. So basically, at regular intervals, make sure you're returning to those hubs and checking in to see if anyone wants to speak to you, because that will help you fill out those activities. Now, as you progress throughout the game, you will unlock the different stances. You begin the game with the stone stance, which of course is just for fighting bladed enemies. I mean, you can obviously fight anyone with this, but it is predominantly for enemies just with swords. You then unlock the water stance for dealing with people with shields, the wind stance for dealing with people with spears, and the moon stance for those bigger, heavier enemies. Now, as you play throughout the game, you will clear encampments, and in doing so, you typically kill the leader of that encampment, and that then gives you a point towards your next stance. However, there is a way you can do this ever so slightly faster. See, generally speaking, when you go to one of those camps, before you kill the leader, you have the opportunity, provided you're hidden, to observe them. So what you can then do is you go over, you get quite close by, hide in some grass, hide behind a box, and you can then hold down right trigger to observe them. Doing this will award you a point towards your next stance, and if you then go and kill them, you will get another point. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to do this. You can just kill them and you'll unlock them eventually. But if you want to get your stances quicker, sooner, then observing before killing basically means every time you find an encampment, you can get 2 points instead of 1. Now, on the topic of unlocking things, let's talk a little bit about some skills. Obviously, as you play throughout the game, for those of you that are wondering, if you do go through and complete all the missions and the side missions, you can unlock every single skill that is here. However, as you're going through, you will obviously need to choose what you want to unlock first, and that can get quite daunting when you see that your skills are broken down to the samurai tree, the stance tree, and the ghost tree. So here's a few recommendations. Obviously you can pick and choose these as you see fit, but a few things that I would highly recommend getting quite early on in the game just because they make your life a lot easier. To begin with, in the samurai tree, down the deflection tree, you then want to go on predominantly the right side. The very first one, unyielding sword parry, basically makes it so that you can parry unblockable attacks from Mongol swords. You then go down one below that. Deflect arrows is incredibly useful because with this one, simply by holding the block button, you can just deflect incoming arrows, which is quite useful because you get a lot of pesky archers later on up on towers. You'll be in the middle of combat trying to sort of, take down a group of enemies and you just get shot in the back by an arrow. So this way you can deflect them with ease. Additionally, you also have the unyielding spear parry, which again lets you parry unblockable spear attacks, which is quite useful before you unlock the spear stance. And also resolve parry is quite nice because then if you are getting into the habit of parrying a lot, you'll be generating a lot of resolve. Keep in mind, resolve later on is used to perform special moves, but early on it is used to heal you. So basically, parrying can indirectly lead to healing. Basically, the deflection tree is just a really good tree. However, the evasion tree is also very nice because the first one just allows you to roll, but beyond that, you can then have sprint strike, which allows you to dash into people and slash through them. But then the one after that I quite like because shoulder charge is very useful. You can run into enemies, press circle and shoulder charge them to knock them over. This is quite useful if you're fighting some of those bigger, heavier enemies and you don't necessarily have the right stance to fight them to begin with. Knocking them on the floor basically just gives you a free opening. Outside of that, jumping over to the ghost tree, a couple of things worth noting here. Again, feel free to do this in whatever order you want, but there are two things that I would highly recommend. The very first one is down the standoff tree. If you go further down, you get the standoff streak, which basically means whenever you perform those cinematic standoff attacks, you can then go and kill multiple enemies as opposed to just one. It's a great way to begin a fight and take down 2, maybe even 3 enemies, and a little bit later, depending on the armor you get, that can even go up to 4 or 5. So yeah, that can be pretty handy. And then finally, the last one is down the assassination tree. I would highly recommend investing into this because as you go further down, you get to chain assassination, which allows you to take out multiple enemies one after another. So this is very handy if you want to jump off the roof and basically take down a few people without being seen. Pair this with the smoke bombs. It's basically a very good skill. After that, of course, for those of you guys that want to go in search of secrets, whenever you're exploring the world, make sure you are looking out for both foxes and also the yellow birds. Specifically the yellow birds, because they often will fly by you as you're exploring, and if you see them and you follow them, they will normally lead you to a point of interest. Some of these will be marked on your map as question marks. Other times, they can lead to, say, secret cosmetic items that are not normally marked on the map, but are things you want to collect. So definitely keep an eye out for the animals out there because they are friends. Then finally, 2 more very quick tips to help you guys out. One of them, if you happen to be exploring the world and you just want to run, and you want to run forever, anytime you start to run out of stamina and Jin starts to basically slow down, if you just dash with circle, you basically reset your stamina meter and you can just run again. So basically, yeah, dash and you can keep running. And finally, the last one, for those of you guys that like to go after collectibles, for those of you that want to clear the map, but you're also mindful that you want to kind of keep progressing the story, do not worry. When you complete the game, you can go back and you can go and collect everything you need, so you do not need to worry about having to clear everything before you move forward. Furthermore, when you do clear the map, anything that you haven't uncovered will be marked on the map as a question mark. You still need to go and discover it and work out what it is, but if you are trying to, say, explore like I did as I was playing throughout, I was trying to clear the fog of war to see if I've missed anything. Honestly, if you just progress through the game and you play naturally and get to the end of it, then the whole map opens up, everything clears up, and then you can see exactly what you need to go and find. So there you have it. There's a few handy tips that you might want to consider when playing throughout the game. Hopefully that makes your experience a little bit more streamlined. Again, if you guys have got any questions, by all means let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to keep it locked over the next few days for a ton more videos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.